My name is Brian Quinones. I use they, them pronouns. I'm an LGBTQ newcomer community health worker at Access Alliance. Most of my clients are LGBTQ newcomers who are refugee claimants, and I help them deal with refugee claim based on sexual orientation. And I think this workshop today is really important because it will help folks prepare for their refugee hearing, whatever may that be, whatever type of refugee claim you're doing process for your refugee. Yeah, so now we're joined with the FCJ Refugee Center. They'll be doing most of the workshop, and there's going to be question and answer portion later on. But I would just like to acknowledge that we are on a traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. And without further ado, I'll give the floor to Diana.
Okay, thank you everybody, and welcome to our presentation, our webinar. Really apologies because we have some technical difficulties, but okay, we are ready to start our webinar. Here is the contact information from Brian and the contact information for us. I'm going to start then the presentation. We are FCJ Refugee Center. We have been supporting precarious migrants and refugees for almost 29 years. Our community center was funded by two former refugees from El Salvador, Francisco Rico Martinez and Loli Rico. They are still our co-directors. Today, we are going to talk about resumption of refugee hearings. There have been new announcements made by the Immigration and Refugee Board. Also, we are going to talk about if you have received a call to go for a refugee hearing, what do you should expect now, because this is we are in times of the COVID-19. We are going to talk about to contact legal aid and some key issues and evidence, how you can start preparing yourself for the hearing. At the end, we are going to open for questions. Then there is a microphone that you can open. You can unmute yourself, or I will unmute yourself when you want to make a question. You can write the question if you don't want to unmute yourself. Also, when you make a question, do it like general, because sometimes there is a private issues that we don't want to talk here on the webinar. If you have a pressing question that you need to disclose more details about your case, you can contact us, then we can provide more guidance and specifically questions, answer to your questions. Sorry. Then who we are a non-profit organization. Our doors are open to anyone that is in Canada, regardless the refugee status. We work with precarious migrants and non-status people and refugee claimants. We have settlement services. We have a primary care clinic for uninsurance people, for those that are in Canada without our HIP, because they don't have any status. We have a program, Access to Education. We have a vibrant youth network, and we have an anti-human trafficking and migrant workers program. In Canada, there are many people that have been trafficked for labor related with labor exploitation. Then there are many people that are coming as migrant workers, and they face a really hard time in Canada. Then we have our clinic, and we work around the GTA. We do public education, and these webinars are part of the public education. Our presentation will be available in our website, that you can have access to all the presentations that we have been doing. Also, we have 4 houses. We shelter women and kids, mostly of them refugee claimants or with precarious status. The Immigration and Refugee Board was closed approximately on the 2nd week of March, like most of the organizations and government agencies. But recently they start working again. Then they have been sending notes and news about how they are going to resume operations. Then we are going to talk a little about this. There had been an announcement made on August 14, just recently, that probably many refugee claimants are wondering what is this announcement about and if they qualify. The government said that they recognize that many people, refugee claimants that are in Canada, have been working in the healthcare sector, especially they were doing it during the COVID-19 crisis, especially those working in hospitals, in nursing homes. They had been risking their lives. Then there were many organizations like the Canadian Council for Refugees, the Migrants Network, and other big organizations asking the government to consider providing a new path for a permanent residency for those that were working and exposing themselves during the COVID-19. Most of the organizations were asking to be open to anybody, those that were cleaning, those that had been working in the store, and regardless of the status. But the government only announced that it's going to be only for refugee claimants, rejected refugee claimants that had been in Canada, and they claim asylum before March 13, when was the COVID-19 started in Canada, that everything was closing down, that they were issued a work permit, and they had been working in the healthcare sector. Most people are really confused because they said, I had been working, then I'm the one who clean in the hospital, or do you think I will qualify? In general, they said nurses, personal support workers, and assistants to the nurses, but there is no more list of clear list of who else can apply. They said that you need to prove that you have 6 months of experience, and the experience can be acquired until next year, August 31st to 2020. There are different, it's going to be a little different in Quebec, and you need to comply with all the requirements not to have be inadmissible for criminality or health or security reasons. The Canadian Council for Refugees, that is an umbrella organization that represents many refugee houses and settlement agencies. They were in a meeting with Immigration and Refugee Board, and they were asked how are going to be the details of the program, and they said, we just announced this new policy, but how it's going to be implemented, who is going to be included, that is going to be announced later on, and we don't know when. Then be careful, because many some lawyers or some immigration consultants are telling people, yes, give me some money, I will apply for you right away, we need to do it as soon as possible. The program haven't been open, it's closed. They just announced. What they said is that if you are a refugee claimant and you consider be part of this program, they are going to put you, like, your case on hold with the Immigration and Refugee Board. Your claim will be put on hold, then your file will be moved to immigration, and they will decide if you qualify. If at the end you don't have the experience, or you don't qualify because you are not in the list of the designated occupation, then they will say no to you, but they will send back your file to the Immigration and Refugee Board, and any removal order will stop. That's in general what we know. Also, we thought that was going to be free, but likely it's going to be a fee just for processing. And if you get approved, then you will become a permanent resident of Canada. But again, the details on how it's going to be, through which application, is going to be a letter of intention, is going to be through a humanitarian and compassionate, we don't know yet. Then please wait, just start collecting a letter of employment, and see if you are going to be part of the designated occupation. Also, the IRB announced that they are going to focus to do a file review. What does it mean? It means that they have a task force that was working before the COVID-19, that they were focusing in looking into some files, especially from Yemen, Iraq, Venezuela, Egypt. And those files, they were fast-tracked. They were decided without a refugee hearing. But now, after COVID-19, because they recognize that the backlog of cases was increased, many cases were canceled, many hearings were canceled, then they want to identify some cases, and they are encouraging some lawyers to send files for review and saying, this file is ready for a hearing, there is a strong evidence there, we believe that this case can be decided without refugee hearing. Then now it's not only to those countries that were mentioned before, but now it's open to everybody. But doesn't mean that sometimes the refugee claimant believes my case is strong, I have a strong evidence, but sometimes the IRB will not agree. But we encourage everybody to talk to the lawyers and try to complete the file and send the evidence, because traditionally the lawyers or everybody was waiting, like, you have the deadline to send new evidence is 10 days before your hearing, and then a lot of lawyers were waiting for the day of the hearing to start preparing people. Others, since they start the case, they will provide you with a list of documents and said, okay, I believe that these are the documents that you need to bring from your country. Probably we are going to need an affidavit, we are going to need this report from your doctor back home, all these things. Some lawyers, they will give you in advance and say, please start doing this because we need to probably translate the document. Some lawyers will wait until the refugee claimant is called for the hearing, then try to be proactive, try to call your lawyers. But again, sometimes the lawyer will say, okay, I will try my best to prepare your case to send it, but again, it's going to be the IRB who at the end is going to decide. There is going to be a case management conferences with the adjudicative officers, and they are the ones who are going to say, yes, this file is ready, and we recommend this file to be decided with our refugee hearing, or probably with a hearing, a short hearing. But again, many lawyers, they are saying there is no really procedures how to do it. But they just announced this. Then they will send the positive decision. If they decide the case with our hearing, they will send the decision, and you can request the reasons why you were your case was positive. Then we are going to give some tips. This is a picture of one of the officers from the the Immigration and Refugee Board. Traditionally, FCJ Refugee Center is part of one of the organizations that have been organizing and getting registered refugee claimants for a ready tour. This was really popular back in time because people were brought to the actual building, in this case, to the 74 Victoria Street. What we are talking is mostly what is happening in the central region. Because sometimes there are different procedures in another regions, but we are talking about central region, the people that needs to come to the 74 Victoria in Toronto. They were a ready tour, and then one board member will explain how it's going to be the hearing. We are requesting them to do it online, and probably soon they are going to resume. Then you can check our website. Probably we are going to post there when the virtual ready tour will be again. That will it's really good to attend it. This is how people were registered. Then again, I encourage you to check our website or the refugee. This is also for the Refugee Appeal Division. When refugee claimants are rejected, they can appeal to the Refugee Appeal Division. They were a ready tour for that too, but again, they are suspended. Then if some of you that are listening, you don't have a lawyer, or you haven't applied for legal aid, you have the right to do it. There is some call toll free. The number is there, 1-800 or the 416. Every time that you call, you will speak to 2 different agents. The first agent, they will ask you questions when you arrive to Canada, which border did you came from, if you already claimed if it was port of entry, or if it is going to be an inland claim. You arriving to Canada, but you haven't claimed protection. Those are the first questions. They are going to need an email to set up an account with you, an address, and then they will transfer you to a second agent. That agent is called the specialist, and the specialist will ask more questions. Legal aid will assess your case based on financial needs. They want to know you have the money or the assessments to pay a lawyer. Then they will ask with how much did you arrive into the country, if you have been applied to Ontario Works, or if you have been working because you have been sometime here in Canada. If you open a bank account, they are going to ask you for the last 3 months of the bank account information. Then they are going to ask you questions about if you really need financially support to pay your lawyer. If you qualify, then they will provide you, the first agent, they will provide you with, it's called CLT. That is like the file number with legal aid. And the second agent will give you the CE. That is the certificate. Sometimes if you have been for a while in Canada, then probably they will request for other documents. Then they will put your file on hold until they receive the documents, and they will decide your case. They will ask you to check your email, because you need to authorize them to contact you by email. They will set up the account online, and then everything, all the papers are going to be sent by this online account. And if you get the certificate, you can use this certificate to hire any lawyer. Most of the time, legal aid will support the first part. The first part is to fill out the forms, to fill out the basis of claim, and then the second part is for the hearing. Then sometimes I have refugee claimants that when they arrive, they didn't know that they can apply to legal aid. Then they pay somebody for the first part, but after that they don't have money. They spend all the money that they brought to the first lawyer, and sometimes they don't have money to pay for the second part for the hearing. Then you can still apply for legal aid, and then you can, if the lawyer that you pay privately receive legal aid, then that lawyer can continue with your case. Then don't worry, you can still apply for legal aid. This is what I told you, then, that you're going to receive a C number, and then you're going to write this down. Sometimes the agent is going to tell you the waiting for the second for the specialist, for the second agent, is going to be 45 minutes. We can call you back, wait until they pass you, or they will answer. Okay. Then also, before going into the second tip, preparing for the refugee hearing, I want to tell you that they have been calling for refugee hearings virtually. Some refugee claimants were asked if they want to proceed online. Then they were being from the lawyer's office, or they were doing it from home. Some people were brought to the IRB hearing, and they were in one room with the lawyer, and in the other room were the board member. But after those first weeks, the Lawyers Association saying that was not good, that they want to be in the same, everybody in the same room, taking all the precautions. Then the IRB said yes, they are going to start trying to see, like before, the refugee claimant, the interpreter, and the lawyer and the board member, who is the person who is going to decide your case, in the same room. But that is going to come. But sometimes they are offering to do virtually, and if the lawyer and the refugee claimant accepts, that is going to continue. Then to prepare for your refugee hearing, you need to be have clear about these issues, because the board member, that this is what they are going to assess. Remember that when you claim protection, you fill out a form that is called the basis of claim. In that document, you wrote your story, your narrative, why you are fleeing your country. Then they are going to assess you, first of all, identity. If you are who you are saying you are. If you are from the country that you are saying you are fleeing persecution. Then they are going, sometimes people are arriving to Canada without a passport because they came with a fake passport, or somebody smuggled there and the identity documents were taken from them. then it's really important to prove what is your identity. Recently, I have a negative decision from somebody that she didn't have any identity documents. Then she requested, she presented a birth certificate, but and the hearing, since she claimed until the hearing date, she was provided like 2 years. And the board member, the day of the hearing, said, I don't accept this birth certificate because it's not original. We don't have the date that was provided. There were some issues. Then they were saying this identity document doesn't provide your identity, that you are saying you are from, that you were born in this country. And you were provided like with 2 years, and right now we are at the hearing date, and you didn't try to get another document. You didn't try to prove who you are. And there are other means, like, for example, if there is somebody here in Canada from your community, they can do an affidavit and say, I know this person, we were from the same village, I know the family, or from somebody back home. There are other things that you can do. But unfortunately, the person just wait. She just sent this birth certificate and receive a letter from the IRB saying this is not enough to prove who you are, but she didn't do anything. Then this is something important. If you arrive in Canada with a valid passport, then don't worry. That's your proof that you are coming from that country. The second is credibility. They're going to assess your credibility, your narrative, your story. Then they are going to try to ask you questions, and the questions can be asked in many forms. They will ask dates, and also you fill out some forms, especially Schedule A, the form that they ask you, okay, what you study, what you have been doing for the last 10 years, and the last part, the address, where you have been living in the last 10 years. They sometimes they use these forms to check your narrative, because if in your form you said, I was living in Mississauga, but in Montreal I was attacked, and they are going to say, okay, you are saying that in August 24 you were living in Mississauga, but you were attacked in Montreal and you said you were working there. Then how do you explain this contradiction? Then sometimes you have an explanation, and if there is a good explanation, yes, my main address is in Mississauga, but I was, for example, this month my company transferred me to Montreal. But if it's not a good explanation, yes, I live in Mississauga, then why you are saying here that you were attacked in Montreal on August 24, and also in the part that you were saying you were working, you said you were working in Mississauga too. Then they are going to check all these. Also, they are going, when you apply for a visitor's visa or a study permit to come to Canada, you need to fill out some forms too, and you need to provide some information. They will check all this information. They will release to you or to your lawyer anything that they find. Then if you apply many times to come to Canada, they will know. If you apply to go to another country, and in some cases they said, okay, in your narrative you said this happened to you today, in December 15, but we see that on December 15 in your Facebook page you post pictures that you were in a vacation in an island. How this is it? Then they are going to check all that, all the facts that you are telling them. Also, the internal flight alternative. Many refugee claimants, they come from a big country, and then they will ask you, okay, this happened to you in this small town, but you escaped directly to Canada. explain why you didn't move from this small town, for example, to this, the capital city, when it's like 5 million people living. And then we don't think so that the persons that are persecuting you this in a small town, they are going to find you in this big town. Then you need to explain why you fled from this small country directly to Canada. And there are some explanations. Or if you said, yes, you moved from this town to this other town, then how they found you there. And then you fled to Canada. I'm explaining this to some people that, for example, if I'm a lawyer and I denounce corruption in my country, and I said, yes, I denounce corruption in this small town, but if I move to the capital city, I will be still a lawyer. I will be still doing, I will denounce corruption. Then these people will find me again here. If I go to the capital city, if I go here or I go here, I will still doing what I'm doing. But if you are just as a singular person that they are looking for you because you work in this particular business, and for example, you work in a bank and there is an organization that requests you a list of clients because they want to do extortion, and you denied and you said, no, I will not do it. And then you didn't move to another part of the country, but you came to Canada, they are going to say, okay, if you quit your job to the bank or you ask this business to move you to another part, you will not be more of interest of this organization. Then we believe that you can be safe here, here, and here. Then you will have the opportunity to set why you cannot be, you couldn't move in all those parts of the country. Also, if you are fleeing because you are part of a minority or you are part of the LGBT community, and in the whole country, they are going to identify you, that you are from the LGBTQ, or you are from a minority group or religious group or a political party that they are persecuting. They will find you if you move to other parts, because it's a crime, for example, to be in a same-sex relationship in your country. Then you're going to be a risk wherever you are moving. Then this is how the internal flight alternative can be assessed. The other one is the subjective fear. This is related with the well-founded fear of persecution. That is like the central theme of why you should, you deserve protection in Canada. For example, you believe that you are part of a political party in a region, and that political party is had been receiving threats, and one of the candidates, for example, had been killed. Then, because you are part of this movement, you have been supporting the movement, you fear that what happened to that person can happen to you, because you have been going to the meetings, they know that you are part of this movement. That is subjective. I think they are going to do something to me. Then when I come to Canada, I had to mention why I'm afraid, why I left my country. But that needs to be related with that objective fear. Like, I had to prove that I was feeling afraid that something is going to happen to me because other members of the group, some bad things happened to them. They were arrested, they were tortured, and then they were coming like close to me because my connections. Then with these objective things that happen to the rest, or if there is human rights reports, then that's how I can prove that my fear is real, is well founded. If I'm from the LGBTQ community, then in my city, there were recently people were arrested because we were part of a meeting, a social meeting. Then one of my best friends were arrested. Then I really went into hiding because I feared that if my friend was tortured, he can disclose my location, my name. But I can prove also that on the news they were, I can prove that I was part of that meeting and some of the members had been detained. Then it's going to be well-founded fear of persecution. And then you connect both the subjective and the objective, and then you will have a good refugee hearing. Generalized risk. Many people come to Canada and said, I'm coming from a country that I'm really worried that I can be kidnapped. Okay, but why are you going to be kidnapped? Well, in my neighborhood, there are some, my close friend was kidnapped. I had been followed after work. Then I really fear that I will be kidnapped. But then the board member can ask you, but this is general risk. You are saying that other neighbors from your neighborhood have been kidnapped or in your city, then this is generalized risk. Then you need to take your case from that generalized, take it out and present it as unique. Like, yes, people from my town had been kidnapped, but I'm more at risk because, for example, I'm the owner of all this business. They know that I have how to pay ransom, and I'm at risk because I need to go to all these towns, and I'm going to be more at risk because of this. Then it's taking you out of that most of the citizens of this country, of this city, of this town are at risk because there is a group there that is threatening everybody. Then you need to be out of that and be and prove that your case have some uniqueness to the well-founded fear of persecution. The state protection, that's another thing that you need to prove. That there is no protection for you, that probably you access to the protection of the state. For example, this is especially in domestic violence cases, that is some countries, they have really well-written law about protecting women escaping persecution, family violence, but there is no real estate protection. There is no shelter to go. There is no, if you go to the police, they will not do anything for you. And sometimes there is corruption in the country. For example, Mexico, you can say, I didn't access the state protection because if I go to the police, I know that the police are the ones who will call to the cartel, and they will tell I was denouncing them, or my husband is part of is well known in the town. If I go to the police and I accuse him, the police even will call him, and then I will be in danger. Then how you couldn't access the state of protection? Okay, let's go to the next one. Again, if you have questions, then we will answer them at the end. How to gather evidence. There is a national documentation package that is part of the IRB. If you go to the IRB website, there is the national documentation package. This part, most of the lawyers will do it. They will go there and they will send this documentation that is related with your case to the Immigration and Refugee Board. But also they are going to ask again proof of identity or relationship. If you were part of a group, you need documents to prove that the incidents that you mentioned in the narrative, and also if you were attacked by police because they found you and doing something against the law according to them, if you were tortured, then you can have a medical report. You can sometimes have pictures if something happened to you. And also in Canada, you can get a psychological report because some people experience post-traumatic stress disorder, and these have some impact on them, how they are going to be witness of their own cases. If you were part of a group, then you can probably it will be good if you requested documents from the official group, or somebody that can do an affidavit, like a sword declaration saying, yes, I know this person was part of this group, and he has to escape because he was receiving threats, or I was present the day he was attacked. But all these documents needs to be a sword declaration, an affidavit, and you can get it from somebody that Canada will trust. Many people will get affidavits from mom and dad. Then sometimes they are valid, but it will have more impact. It will be stronger if it's from somebody else that is not your close relative. But if those are the ones that you need, then it will be good to have them in a sword document. Also, you can have witness. For example, if there is somebody here that are from the same region of same country and they were already accepted and they want to testify on your case, on behalf of your case, or if you know somebody that is an expert on that region and is in Canada, you can talk to your lawyer and the lawyer can invite that person too. Francisco Rico, our co-director, he had been called to be an expert witness, for example, from El Salvador or Central America, because he had been doing research about country conditions there. Then there is another way to prove your case, to have a written document from a lawyer or an academic that knows the particular situation in your country, and that can be part of your evidence. Or if the person is in Canada, is a professor or a researcher, you can invite them to your hearing. Then the medical report that I already told you, if you were receiving treatment because you were attacked and you were hospitalized. Also, if you suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, you experience trauma, then that will impact the ability that you have the day of that you have to testify, that you confuse days, that you confuse some events, but because this is part of the post-traumatic stress disorder, and then it's really good to have a psychologist or a counselor that you can go for a therapist, that they can do a report that will be good for your case. Then the reports, then they need to say why they are giving the report, what are the credentials that the person have, what that sometimes just the psychological report. I have been seeing some negative decisions that said, well, the psychological report, it was just the psychologist just met the person once and the person told them what happened, but sometimes the way they write the report is not so strong. Then it will be good, a psychological report, and if you need counseling or therapy, look for that. There is in Camish, in Toronto, there is a clinic that is called New Beginnings. That is specialized in refugee claimants. You need a referral from your family doctor or from your lawyer. It's called New Beginnings at Camish. Then you will be paired with a counselor, sometimes even from your same background. They speak your language, then culturally they will understand you. And a psychological report plus a report from a counselor that had been supporting you through your trauma, your post-traumatic stress disorder, that will be really strong too. I think in general, this is what we can tell you. We are going to see if we have some questions. Again, you can contact us. This is my email address. You can call me and my extension is 225. Again, if you need more details. In general, if you have a lawyer, and the lawyer is the one who needs to prepare you, we cannot intervene because you already have a legal representative. But if you need just a question, just reach out to us. Or if you need to apply to legal aid and you cannot do it because you have language barriers, then we can support you. I'm going to see if there is questions. Okay, I don't see. Okay, I don't see any question. If you want to do a question, then you can raise your hand, but I don't see any. Then what time it is? It's almost 6 o'clock. Then we were planning this webinar for an hour. I want to thank you for being here and listening to us. This is from our experience working with refugees. Again, this organization has been supporting refugees for almost 29 years. Then I hope that whatever we talk tonight will help you. And again, if you have any questions, you can talk to us. Let me see if there is, I don't know. Okay. Then thank you so much. I really appreciate that you were here tonight with us. And be tuned because we have other webinars during the week. You can contact Brian because there are other coming webinars. Thank you and have a good night.